Have you ever done something wrong and then, as a form of punishment, received a spanking or were hit with a belt? If this is you, you're not alone. The World Health Organization states that around 60% of children aged 2 to 14 years regularly suffer physical punishment by their parents or other caregivers. As someone who grew up with corporal punishment, I believe I'm qualified to speak on the topic, and even though I correction, I can also see that other methods of discipline may have been more appropriate. I cannot understate the importance of corrective measures when someone misbehaves. However, I am of the opinion that corporal punishment is a relic of the past. It's not the only way to correct a wayward child and may actually cause more harm than good. I'll mostly be talking about the definition and origins of corporal punishment, points in greater detail. First, the definition and origins of corporal punishment. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, corporal punishment can be defined as punishment that involves hitting someone. With this in mind, as other punishments given to people for wrongdoing do not utilize the same methodology. Additionally, corporal punishment has evolved over the years because people have been implementing it in various ways depending on the situation. The Mail and Guardian mentions that forms of corporal punishment include hitting with a hand or an object, pinching, burning, throwing objects at a learner, forcing children to stay in uncomfortable positions, kicking, grabbing, scratching, pulling hair, or denying a child meals, the use of the toilet, and shelter from heat or cold. Now, unfortunately, the exact origins of corporal punishment are hard to pin down. However, the Sydney Gazette states that in 1860, two men named Joseph Salter and William Nash were publicly whipped for stealing pigs. Spartacus Educational also mentions the main method used to control the behavior of slaves was the threat of having them whipped. The number of lashes depended on the seriousness of the offense. Austin Stewart wrote that on his plantation, 39 was the number for the most offenses. Francis captured and then given 107 lashes. Moses Roper received 200 lashes, and this was only brought to an end. As such, many have adopted the practice until it has become widespread to the point where it is now society as a whole. Next, we will examine the consequences of corporal punishment. An article from Child Abuse and Neglect says, finding support in intergenerational cycle of violence. Parents who experience frequent corporal punishment during childhood perceived its use as acceptable and frequent and preferred aggressive conflict resolution and strategies with peers and siblings. This, in my opinion, is one of the saddest sins of corporal punishment because it teaches people that violence is the only way to solve problems. Sadly, because many do not know any other way or are unwilling to learn other methods, they'll continue to repeat this abusive cycle. Steve Miller of Save the Children also adds, many of us who experience physical punishment as children also tend to view it as an appropriate response to parent-child conflict today. Much in the same way we used to justify punishments at school like 6 of the best. In doing so, we normalize and legitimize things that have no place in our society. Another punishment can be dangerous to brain development as excessive usage has been found to be associated with the emergence of depression, addiction, and aggressive behaviors. Excessive in this case persisted past the child's 6th birthday. How detrimental or beneficial spanking is depends a great deal on the age of the subject, frequency of administration, race, who administers the spanking, family context, and whether it is used as a primary means of discipline or as a backup strategy. Steve Miller also mentions in the Constitutional Court on 18 September 2019, the ruling was upheld, making this the 57th country to achieve full ban on corporal punishment in all settings. The following day, South Africans woke to the news that they could no longer use physical discipline in the home, and the predictable outcry ensued. This is quite interesting because even though many argue in support for corporal punishment, things have gotten so bad that even the courts have stepped in and have banned it in not just one but several countries. Perhaps this is a sign of the times because many practices that were legitimate back in the day have now been banned. Nowadays, lastly, we will deal with alternate methods of discipline. Firstly, the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines discipline as to punish or penalize for the sake of enforcing disobedience and perfecting moral character. Amy Moran of Very Well family offers several alternatives to corporal punishment. First is timeout. She says hitting kids for misbehavior, especially aggression, sends a mixed message. Your child will wonder why it's okay for you to hit them, but not okay for them to hit their sibling. Placing a child in timeout can be a much better alternative when done correctly. Timeout teaches kids how to calm themselves down, which is a useful life skill. Second is using privileges. The goal is not to punish your child into submission, but to help them learn to make choices for the future. If they make a poor choice, teach them the consequence is a loss of a privilege. The loss should be related to the behavior. Make it clear when the privileges can be earned back. For example, you might say, you've lost TV for the rest of the day, but you can earn it back tomorrow by picking up your toys the first time I ask. Third is ignoring mild misbehavior. Selective ignoring can actually be more effective than spanking. This doesn't mean you should look the other way if your child is doing something dangerous or inappropriate, but you can ignore attention-seeking behavior. For example, when your child tries to get attention by whining or complaining, don't give in to them. Look the other way, pretend you can't hear them, and don't respond. Then, when they ask nicely or behave, return your affection to them. Fourth is rewards for good behavior. Instead of spanking a child for misbehavior, reward them for good behavior. For example, if your child fights with their siblings often, set up a reward system to motivate them to get along better. Providing an incentive to behave can turn around misbehavior fast. Rewards help kids to focus on what they need to do to earn privileges, rather than emphasize the bad behavior they're supposed to avoid. Fifth is teaching new skills. One of the main problems with spanking is that it doesn't teach your child how to behave better. Spanking your child because they throw a temper tantrum won't teach them to calm down the next time they are upset. Kids benefit from learning how to problem solve, manage their emotions, and compromise. When parents teach these skills, it can greatly reduce behavioral problems. Use discipline that is aimed at teaching, not punishing. In summation, corporal punishment involves hitting someone as a corrective measure and has become entrenched within society. It has been used on slaves, criminals, students, and children with mixed results. Even though many still continue its usage, others have decided to seek out different methods of correction, such as guidance and counseling. Lastly, in my view, discipline is not just about punishment, but about helping someone realize their mistake and then helping them to make better choices. I implore you to seek out different methods to correct your children, and if you still insist on using corporal punishment, I urge you to use it with extreme caution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.